both with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, have Ms. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lucier.
Here.
Mr. Simmons. Ms. Cottenberg is excused tonight. Mr. Carter.
Present.
Ms. Jordan. Here. Mr. Cristino is excused tonight. Ms. Battles.
Present.
Ms. Kitchen. Here. And Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the announcement. I was going to make it now, but I guess you did it for me about Mr. Cristino, and it's all right. Don't worry about it. Okay, great. Announcements and agenda modifications.
Mr. Alvarez, could you just read into the record that our alternate, Ms. Jordan, will be?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ms. Jordan, as an alternate member, will be voting instead this evening. Sorry, I forgot that part. Thank you. Okay, so announcements and agenda modifications. Do we have any? Okay. All right. Approval of minutes for our regular meeting of July 7th, 2022.
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes for July 7th as written.
Second.
Ms. Kitchen, second.
Would you like a roll call vote or a voice vote? Voice vote. Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry?
would you like a roll call vote or a
Yes,
voice
please. Roll call.
Okay.
All in favor?
vote? Okay. Ms. Battles.
Yes.
Mr. Lucier.
Yes.
Ms. Jordan. Yes. Mr. Simmons.
Yes.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Ms. Kitchen.
Yes.
And Mr. Alvarez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Ms. Williams, I'm a little confused on the announcement agenda modifications. I thought we were going to do that, what you presented, or is that later on what you? Okay. Okay, good. That's where I was confused. It was now or later. Okay, great. So we have a public hearing today. And so we're opening the hearing, and city attorney will read the title, please. And before that, yes, go ahead, attorney.
Read the title? Yeah, I'm having problems with my plug here. Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a public hearing, recommendation to City Council for a preliminary plat, Terra Estate Subdivision, 8.8 acres, Laconia Street, south of Glodolia Avenue, proposed construction of 3, open and closed paren 3, lot subdivision along with a private road utility stormwater improvement, RS10 residential single family zoning district, VLDR, very low density residential, 3 dwelling unit per acre.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm going to announce the rules here. We're going to open this for a hearing. The hearing, we're going to have 5 minutes for either party which are in favor or oppose. And and I will be timing you. So, applicant, would you like to bring your presentation, please? Good afternoon.
I'm here to discuss any of the details of the three-lot subdivision we're proposing today. It's a plat issue. No, thank you. All right, better? I can start over.
Go ahead.
Wesley Mills Short and Associates, engineer of record for the project. And happy to answer any technical questions you may have for the subdivision. I'm assuming at this point you guys have all received the plans and had a chance to review them, so I won't go through the details of the plans unless you guys would like and have specific questions.
Okay. Staff, any comments, preliminary recommendation?
Yes. So this is as we
Thank you,
stated.
sir. Sorry. Thank you,
That's
sir.
right. As we stated, so this is you are holding a public hearing. We are going to bring the plat to City Council. They will be holding a public hearing also and make the final decision. This is your opportunity to review the plat and make any recommendations and any recommended conditions that you would like to see for this. And this is the public hearing for that process. This is it's a preliminary plat application for a 3-lot residential subdivision to be located off of Laconia Street. I'd like to start with just a little bit of history of the property itself. The property was originally an 18-acre parcel. It was, in 2007, there was a former subdivision, we all knew it as Turtle Grove, that was going to be for 37 lots, was the approval. And they did receive city council approval. They actually had their land clearing permit, recession hit in about 2008, and the project was kind of put on hold, and it was never resurrected. About 3 years ago, there was, the property went up for sale. There was a buyer for it. I believe the intent for them to buy it was more of an investment type of situation. I don't think they were going to develop it. They came to the city and wanted to split the property in half. The code allows a one-time split without having to go through this plat process. Any further splits of those now 2 lots requires this preliminary plat. So even though this is just a 3-lot subdivision, it requires to go through this more of a formal process. There was, this is the northern 9 acres. This is considered parcel A, and then parcel B is the lower 9 acres. And what happened was when we split this, the previous subdivision, Turtle Grove, at that time had presented, they were going to actually deed to the city an additional 40 feet for Laconia Street right-of-way. If you're unfamiliar with the street in that way, it is a one-way street that travels traffic from south to north. And so, of course, we wanted to get the additional right-of-way so that at any time we needed it, we could improve that street. It turned out at that time for that subdivision, the developer was going to deed us the property, and they were going to construct Laconia Street as part of their development. They had 37 lots, and the traffic trips for that kind of warranted the improvements to Laconia Street. But the subdivision was never platted, property was never deeded to us, the extra 40 feet. The next available, or the next application that was given to us, was this division of lot. So in our minds, we still wanted to somehow see if we could acquire that additional 40 feet that we needed for Laconia Street. It was offered for us to purchase it. The city at the time with the new buyers could not come up with a negotiated, agreed upon price. What they did give us, though, is that not give us, but they created a 40-foot access easement. It's an access right-of-way easement. And I apologize, I had some questions on this from some of the commissioners that called us individually. I should have included this in your packet. I have it by your chair. There is the copy of that access, the easement agreement is next to your seat there. And as you can see, it went into what the easement can be used for, who is to maintain it, and it's attached to the parcel B, to the lower 9 acres. And as such, we required this access agreement so that parcel A would have access from Laconia Street. Now, if depending on what came in for the 2 separate 9 acres, at some point we would have maybe required parcel B or one of those to, again, deed us the 40 feet and improve Laconia Street. But what we have before us, what came in for parcel A, is a 3-lot residential subdivision. And based on the projected trips, which is 28, our threshold to really do a big TIA, traffic impact analysis, is 400 trips. As you can see, we're not even close, and we didn't feel that the impact to Laconia was warranted at this time, that we were going to require the 40 feet and to have Laconia Street widened. So that's kind of the history of that project and how we got to where we are. So what you have before you now, though, is, and in our staff report, there's a lot of pages that says provided. There's a lot of things that, those are the items in the code that subdivisions have to show the preliminary plat. There's a list in the LDC that says this is all what you need to see on a preliminary plat. We want to give you, as part of our record, the staff report that shows we feel they meet all of those requirements from that LDC code. And so again, I just wanted to, it's a 3-lot subdivision. It's on 8 acres. What they're proposing is it's going to be a private roadway. Terra Lane will be constructed and dedicated to those 3 lots, to that subdivision. They are going to have to come up with a very small HOA. And that HOA will establish that those 3 lots will take care of Terra Lane. They'll be responsible, and that'll all be set up
For the
with that.
road and,
Yes, Terra Lane is the private road. They are bringing in water lines off of Laconia that will allow for a new hydrant to be back in there. Let's see, and a new fire hydrant and stormwater drainage. So you'll see along Terra Lane, there is a swale that will have some pipes. Water get treated before it goes into that drainage ditch to the north. And then each individual lot, as they come in with their single-family home, they will have to come up with a drainage plan. There's a conceptual of what that lot would be on one of the sheets. That certainly can be that's not a set-in-stone drainage plan. They may need a swale along their driveway, or depending on how big that house is and impervious. But they do have a conceptual of what that individual lot drainage would be. I've gone over the easement. There is, to the north of the subdivision, there is a platted 50-foot drainage right-of-way that the city does maintain. And so one of the things that we were looking through with this platting is that we would still have access to that drainage ditch to get in some of the city equipment to keep it functioning. And the developer, or the property owner, has, yes, agreed that Terra Lane will be given through the final plat. There'll be verbiage on that, or we're requesting that there's verbiage on the final plat and required as a condition that states the city can also use that private road. Where the private road ends on that parcel 3, there's an extension with a 25-foot access easement. And we would, that also will have some verbiage that states it's dedicated to the city for access along their drainage ditch. So we are appreciative of that was going to be accommodated with the plat. Also, as I had mentioned, Laconia Street is one-way traveling south to north. So this subdivision, the 3 lots and those residents will have to be a left-in only, and they will only be able to do a left-out to get to that intersection and continue. So the residents will have to go around. I'm not sure of those streets that go around to get to that there. As such, we have asked them to provide some additional signage on Laconia Street that will be a little bit more visible for the one-way, both at their intersection and on the other side of Laconia, to everybody can verify that that is a one-way street. Environmental, there's definitely tortoises on the property. Environmental, we've had a preliminary environmental assessment on that. Of course, before they'll be able to do any land clearing, they'll have to do a current gopher tortoise survey, and any tortoises will have to go through, the removal will go through the proper permitting through FWC and have a certified relocator. That's coming down with that application. So what you have before you tonight is the preliminary plat. You'll make a recommendation to City Council. City Council will make a final decision. We're scheduled that for August 24th. The next application come in will be the actual construction plans. We'll get a little bit more details on the final road, how much sub-base, things like that. And then construction occurs, and then there's a final plat that gets recorded at the courthouse. With that, though, that we feel that this does meet all of the requirements of the Land Development Code. We're recommending approval with the 3 conditions as noted on page 5, that the final plat include verbiage regarding that access by the city on the right-of-way, Tract A, and the ingress 25-foot easement on parcel 3. It was a small subdivision. One thing that we still will need before we can begin construction, even though it's 3 lots, it's what we call a school capacity availability determination letter. That's required for any residential subdivision. It's very minor for this lot, but we will need that. We've added that as a condition of approval. And then a current updated gopher tortoise with the land clearing permit. And we're available, that's kind of over the staff report. Any questions after you hear from the public?
Yeah, where are they going to face, these property, the front? They're going to face Gladiola, or they're going to face, the front? They're going to face Terra? I mean...
Yes, so their driveways will be off of Terra Lane. So there's no particular, that'll be their addresses. There's nothing in the code that says their front door, however that has to be, what the layout of their driveway. That'll come with the building permits with that. But these 3 lots will not have driveways off of Laconia Street, but off of Terra Lane.
I had a question. So, based on like the benefit that these lots would have with obviously Laconia being widened, Was there any discussions about them providing some sort of pro rata share of the cost to construct and putting in that into some escrow account in the time that it is going to be widened in the future?
So rereading this out, the access easement, it's not a separate easement with its own legal description, it's actually attached to parcel B. So who has control of this is the lower 9 acres. It's actually added to theirs. We have not had that discussion or consideration. Again, just didn't feel that the amount of traffic trips was generating anything to that. Now, when the lower 9 acres comes in, it could be one lot. He also would have the option of coming in to subdivide that. And I think at that point, we'll have to determine how we would address that 40-foot access easement. Laconia Street is still, though, even though this subdivision is not having to do any of that, Laconia Street is still on our future planning to have some sort of connection in Laconia Street down to 510. It's a lot more involvement in the planning and getting down to there, but it's always in our future planning that it is a connection down to 510 for some more interconnectivity to some of our Sebastian Highland areas. But with this particular development, we're not requiring anything.
Yeah, I guess I would just say, I mean, obviously the trips are going to be a lot lower than the parcel to the south, and that's why I mentioned a pro rata share. So maybe it's just a portion of, the ratio of their trips versus the trips generated by this, or potentially a square footage of lots, but something to consider.
Do you know how many houses Cheryl Lane comes out on? What comes?
I hear you, ma'am.
I'm sorry. On the one-way section of Laconia, where Cheryl Lane's going to come in, how many houses are there?
I think based on the aerial where it'll meet, there's either 2 or 3 houses on Laconia before you get to the intersection of Periwinkle and Bevan. Maybe only 2. It's right up there. There's the drainage ditch, then there's going to be this entrance. So there's only about 50 feet. So I think there's only 2 lots. But all of those houses on Laconia Street are all supposed to be one way.
I know,
Yeah.
but I'm concerned about that because there have been numerous accidents in that first house front yard more than once.
Because of people still heading south when they should be going around to get to the driveways and coming out that way?
No, because people are just hauling 90 miles an hour down Laconia Street and don't realize they're coming up to a one-way street that doesn't go that way. So they end up in the yard of the first house on the
So
one-way
we are
section.
requiring at the end of Terra Lane on the other side of Laconia to put that, but if you want to add that as conditions, to put some additional one-way signage at the intersection, because there is some more traffic.
Not sure
coming out
that'll
of this.
help. I think we've tried that numerous times in the past. I just know that there have been numerous accidents at that very first house. So putting this road onto a one-way section concerns me.
Okay. And we certainly, if you feel there's
I mean, I don't expect them to put in the entire Laconia Street, but maybe if they could just widen the section right up to their road, that would be considerable.
the one way would still be ending then though at Terra Estates.
I know.
At that lane.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can still stay one way, but
So if you would, again, like you'd like to say, if you wanted to add that as a condition to have the city engineer to re-examine that portion, we'd have to also re-examine this easement because I'm not sure if the Terrace, the property or the developer does not own that 40-foot easement. So I don't know if that's what we'd have to look at is would he have that permission? Does that document allow him to improve that area of the easement? And that's what
and
we have
you're
to look
saying
into.
that everyone who builds on Terra Lane is going to have to come all the way around the other way and pull in?
Yes.
And they will do that? They won't just try to sneak into Terra Lane?
Well, we had requested that driveway, that intersection be designed so that it can only be, and we can look at that design again so that there is only a left out and a left in. So if the intersection is designed so that even if they came that way, that you could not get in, conveniently into that. I know there's medians or different, I'll have Wesley address that if there is a design that can prevent that a little bit more.
You can try the additional signage, but I'm concerned for the accident levels that have gone on in that area.
Okay.
Having known about all of them when they happened on the ladies' front lawn.
I don't know if that's a question for Wesley, or if he comes up after public input, if maybe there is.
She
he can
is
address
here.
that thing. Okay,
She is here, and I'm hoping she'll speak.
yeah.
Has the attorney reviewed the documents for this document for his opinion on whether or not they could build on that
Not
section?
for that issue at the time that
Okay.
it was, at the time for the division of lot application, this was reviewed, but I don't know necessarily for that. No, not for this issue.
Yeah, and I think that my opinion would be that, you know, I think that a pro rata share might be the more fair direction, in my opinion. Seeing that, you know, they will get a benefit, but the trips are pretty minor compared to what's out there right now and what will be out there in the future.
Okay. Any other commissioners have any comments, please?
I did have another question, and maybe Wesley could answer this potentially, but I saw on here that in the staff report, or potentially you, Dory, that or sewer was being provided, but I didn't see on the utility plan. I guess, can you confirm if sewer is going to be just like septic, or what's the plan with sewer?
No, there's sewer utilities are not available to this area, so it will be a septic and drain field. I think that's what I had under the utilities. I think it says septic and drain field
Yeah,
type of
11B.
system.
Okay. So
11B.
I must have missed that. Okay. Sorry, I was looking at G.
Nice.
Got it. Okay.
All right. Any other commissioners? Okay, we're going to open up to the public. Again, I will remind you, please, I'll give you 5 minutes. Anyone wishes to come to the podium now, please, we need to state your name. Go ahead, come on. And your address, please, for the record.
Hi, my name is Dory, and my address is 1710 Laconia Street.
Hold on.
I'm short.
Can you bring down your,
Oh.
there you go,
I'm
perfect.
sorry. My name is Doreen Irwin, and my address is 1710 Laconia Street.
Okay,
And my driveway goes directly across where that easement is by the drainage canal, where they clean it out all that time. My concern is if their Tierra Lane comes out that way, it's going to be a big mess right there where it says do not enter. And that's my address, my driveway, and my yard. I've lost my mailbox 4 times from people going the wrong way there and taking out, you know, my everything. And so this last time the gentleman crashed, unfortunately he passed away. And when he did that, the city did a great job. They put up new signs, do not enter. They marked off the road and everything, which was awesome, because since then has not been any more issues. And I've been there 16 years, and I've had 4 that I know of. Also, if that road is right there by that ditch, and it's right where that sign says do not enter, they are not going to go around the street, the block, like everybody that lives on my street right now does, and go in. They're going to go the wrong way there. And then
They're gonna
I
sneak
have
right
to
in.
worry about my driveway and my mailbox again. If the road that they have, I don't have no problem with them building there, once the turtles are relocated and such like that, but I don't think the driveway should be right there. I think it should be moved on down. That's my opinion. Thank you.
thank you very much. Anyone else, please? Please state your name and your address, please, for the record.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Warren Fuller. Live at 1672 Sunport Road. That is at the very end of Gladiola. So if you're familiar with, you go down all the way to the end, and then that's the last road in the city of Sebastian. I understand that is, I've got a question for Ms. Bosworth. Is that okay for me to address her? I can, through the board.
Yeah, direct it to me.
The 3 acres I guess there's 8 acres that are, you're saying, the ones that are not going to be built on are to the west. That's my question. Only, there's 2 parcels, there's a B. Is parcel B the farthest one to the west?
No, I think so.
Yeah.
And if MIS can help me, I'll go ahead and put this up on the, so
That's
that
fine,
everybody
yeah,
can see
and then
it.
I'll continue, so.
Yes, 'cause
yeah,
I'm not
we're
sure if
holding up
everybody-
time. So, the reason I'm here, I've lived there since 2004, so I experienced, Gene and Francis, and everything else since then, Wilma, Matthew, whatever. There's flooding down there. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but the south prong of the river, Sebastian River runs through there. There's severe flooding, okay, when the last one, Matthew. So Gladiola and Sunport Road intersect there at the end, and the flooding there for Matthew was about 3 feet, so on that road, okay? And when Mr. Jones on the city council lives, you know, across the road from me, but he doesn't get that. So we actually flooded, our home flooded on Matthew. So we had to, you know, pull out the carpet, do all that fun stuff. But, so it's been flooding I've talked to I've been working with staff since 2004, Mr. Griffin, Ms. Frazier, Ms. Faulkner. So we're all asking for I'm not opposing development. What I'm asking for is smart development that makes sense and don't make my situation any worse. What I'm concerned about is we're piecing this apart into separate projects, and I would really ask for a comprehensive stormwater sewer plan for all the parcels, not just one. I didn't hear an adequate plan right now, in my opinion. What I heard is they're going to figure it out. That drainage ditch that you're referring to, that big one that goes down, and everything runs down to where I am. It really needs to be cleared, and in my opinion, a detention pond or something to retain the water so it can slowly drain down rather than just, as they develop. So does that make sense, what I'm asking for, or at least recommending? Is
I understand.
A plan, somewhat of a plan that covers all 18 acres or whatever it is.
And Mr. Chairman, if we can let public input finish, I will go up quickly then, and I can quickly, we did have some of the residents that got letters come in, they had visually seen the plan, but for those that didn't, if you're okay, I'll put it up there.
Yeah, please
and
do,
quickly
by
just go
all
over
means.
it after public input then.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anyone else, please? Please do. State your name and your address, please, for the record.
Thank you. My name is Alessandra Valenzuela. My address is 649 Wallace Avenue. Sebastian. In the same way that we consider the turtles, whenever someone puts this application in to build something, somebody somewhere makes a map of all the tortoises, and then they make plans to remove the tortoises and put them somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I propose that in the same exact way we care for the tortoises, that we do this with oak trees. Oak trees are being plowed down every time somebody puts in a permit for construction. The way they do it is plow the whole field and then build cement, and the city gets hotter, the birds become fewer, all of the life that made Sebastian beautiful then becomes lower. I believe there's a way to relocate mother oak trees in the same way that we locate tortoises. If we can build holes 20 feet deep to put, to construct anything, we have the means and the creativity, and I'm sure there's engineers to talk to relocate the oak trees as well. That's my concern.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Good evening. Please state your name and your address for the record.
It's Alma Miller, 1758 Laconia Street. It's a beautiful Sebastian, Florida. I did not hear how many actual houses would be in Terra Estates. I did not hear that. I heard some figures on what the traffic might be, but I did not hear how many actual houses will be built in that area. I do live on that one-way street, and I will tell you very often people do not recognize that it's a one-way, depending on where they want to go on Laconia Street. So if there are going to be a number of houses there, I'm wondering how many will indeed go around Crystal Mist to Concha to turn on Laconia, but I did not hear. And the other question I did have, why a subdivision? That amazes me. We're building all over Sebastian Highlands. Right off of Gladiola, we have a brand new house going up. So if it's only a few houses, why a subdivision? That's my question.
That's a good question. Thank you very much, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, thank you very much. Staff, final summary, please.
Mr. Chair, can you just check Zoom?
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyone in Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
No one?
No.
Thank you, Ms. Arnon. Okay, staff.
I'm just going to show you some of just a couple of sheets of the plan, just to review them so that the public can see.
Okay.
Any of your questions regarding the entrance and some of the other stormwater questions, I'm going to ask that the city engineer come up and speak. And Mr. Terra, the property owner, may want to come up and speak too, and just to answer that question, why subdivision, it's not as complicated or as developed as everything, but he may want to just let them know too what his plans are. What I wanted to show you is, we did require a tree survey. And so all of the specimen and protected trees were noted on our plan, on the plan here. And the north part, this is where the proposed road will go. And yes, there are going to be some trees that are going to be removed, but a lot of the oak trees and specimen trees are still going to be preserved. And then here is the subdivision plan itself. I feel like I'm standing in the way, but I'm probably not. Here's Laconia Street, right here. Here's the proposed, and we're calling this, they're going to call it Terra Lane. This is the road here. It'll only be a portion of the road. There are 3 lots. Here's parcel 1. It is almost a 2-acre parcel. Here's a 2-acre parcel, and this is another 4.65-acre parcel. This parcel 3 is probably, I'm going to guess, unbuildable on this portion of it, because this is where there's some conservation easements, a lot of wetlands. And so, yes, this is a nice, large piece of property, but I don't see too much building down in here. There would be a lot of mitigation. So, and as you can see, Terra Lane, they have their driveway right here. So most likely the house is going to be here. So there are only going to be 3 houses on that, which is much better than the 37 that was proposed and that approved in 2007. And what they're proposing, here's the city's drainage ditch. There's going to be, when I had talked about partial stormwater that had been planned out, there is a ditch along here for some of the stormwater that will be coming from the road. It'll get treated in this ditch, and then, yes, there's a pipe that comes, and the overflow will be going into the city's ditch. But the swale is designed, and the ditch is designed to take that water and treat it itself as it goes in. Only overflow would go in here. What I had spoken about is that then, once the subdivision is constructed, building permits would need to come in for each one of these lots separately. And what they are proposing here, let me see if I can get that for you to see. Here we go. This is just a conceptual type of drainage, is that the house would go here. They would have some sort of small retention pond. It doesn't necessarily be wet or dry, but as you can see, those arrows show you where the drainage would go. So there's some additional drainage that's also being on each of the lots, and it's not going out to the road. Right, you see all the arrows are going towards that pond. So a lot of that drainage is not going into the swale, that's just for the road impervious area. But I just wanted to show you the residents that didn't get to see the plan. Only 3 lots. And so each one of these lots will have a driveway onto Terra Estates, and then they would come here, again, only come out, left out. They'll have to come up this way to get in. And I'll let Wesley speak about some of the stormwater, or if there could be a design. Oh, yes. And this is Lisa Fraser, our Community Development Director.
Hi. Lisa Fraser, Community Development Director. I just wanted to point out, is this light on? No. There, that's a little better maybe, maybe not. For the gentleman who is talking about the flooding, I am not sure if this is really a good visual for you. But if you go, I don't know how to do this, I'm just gonna do it, here we go.
Yeah.
Right there is where Gladiola and Sunport Drive is. I can't do it from here, I have to do it from here. So if we see, we are very much aware of this issue, of course. This particular property is right here. This is that 4.5 acres that will, in all intents and purposes, possibly never be built on. But as you see, our drainage ditch only goes to there, and then we don't own, this is a private piece of property that's attached to a county property here, and then this is the river. So in this area here, we could do some improvements, but we're hoping by the retainage of this area that will help a little with the flooding. Does that make sense? So we are very much aware of these issues, and we're looking at different ways. It's difficult in that particular area, as I know you're aware. So I just wanted to bring that forward for everybody. Is that good, Dory? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Lisa. Ms. Frazier. Ma'am, we,
I just had a question, because what she just showed us on the board, yeah, I have a question too.
it's closed, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh, well, I should have seen that first.
Okay.
Yeah, you should have showed it to us first then.
All right, so we're closing now. Any other staff final summary?
Oh, I think Wesley maybe had some, he was going to address some of
Mr.
the
Wesley,
stormwater and
please.
the driveway connection, intersection questions that you had.
Sure, and one thing I'd like to mention too is, because I think there was a question about why we're going through the subdivision process. So my client, the owner of the property, Mr. Terra, he intends on, we're going through the subdivision process because he plans on building his residence on this site, but also his son is going to be building a house and living there as well. There is the extra 4.5 acres lot that would also be included, and really that's just to help absorb all the infrastructure costs that has to go in with building a road and the drainage and things like that. So this isn't a home builder and somebody coming in for profit to develop something that doesn't fit within Sebastian. These are all large lots. A stormwater system's been designed to control the runoff. And then as well as there'll be ponds on site to accept the individual runoff. But this is a low intensity. Really the only reason we're going through this padding process is so that they can own their parcels fee simple, get mortgages on them like anybody else, and it operates as standalone parcels. The drainage, like I mentioned, it would be captured within the road, controlled and released at a controlled rate. And then the only other thing is I heard comments as far as revolve around traffic. It's very low amount of trips on Laconia. We're happy to look at some additional signage if that helps. Again, it's hard for 3 lots to be able to do any kind of roadway improvements or things like that because I meant basically the project just wouldn't be able to move forward financially. So I don't know that's a feasible option. As far as fair share goes, it's not a PD. It's a straightforward subdivision based on zoning. So I'm not familiar at this point on what the fair share requirements are for the city's code, but we'll take a look at those, and if they're applicable, we can look further at that. But I meant we're talking by doing this, I think it's probably like probably 20 extra trips per day because of the 2 residents versus having a single family residence. I mean, I meant that's almost nothing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. At this time, we're closing the hearing and board deliberation and action. Board, do you have any further questions, any other comments, any other?
I think my comment would be to add a condition to look at putting in a pro rata share requirement, for building that section of road. But I'd look to the city attorney, Manny, to give us a little bit of guidance too on whether or not they have the ability to construct in that easement. But I think a pro rata share would be a fair compromise.
Mr. Attorney?
I have to look into that, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, we move right along. Okay, so we are recommending, anybody have any motion to approve this?
My motion would be to approve with that condition.
Okay,
And I, just to guide us, so the motion should state that it is a recommendation to city council.
Right.
The staff has recommended 3 conditions, so I'm not sure if you agree with those or if you could include that in your motion. And then I know Sarah has your recommendation, and then we had, which we could add though, that the city look into that about the prorating, and if feasible, to forward that to city council. And then also we had talked about some additional traffic signage, if you wanted to do that as additional, as another condition. But yes, if you could make it as a recommendation and include city staff's recommendation too, if you agree with them also.
okay.
Okay, I recommend approval of your staff recommendations as well as the condition
Yeah, set
for the
forth.
city to look into pro rata.
As well as additional signage.
So let's get the initial motion from Sarah, and then if somebody wanted to second that with a condition to that, with an addition, correct?
I thought we had to second it with the recommendations.
Yes, are you seconding Sarah's motion?
Yes, with the added recommendations, correct.
Okay.
That,
I'll let Mandy-
Rata,
I didn't hear Ms. Battle state the additional signage. You stated it, Mr. Carter. So if we can just clearly state what the motion is, clearly, which I believe it is, that the recommendation is to approve to council with the 3 recommendations from the staff, in addition to look into the pro rata share if applicable, then we'll forward that to council, in addition to the additional signages, correct?
correct.
Okay. Then, if that's the motion, then it can be seconded.
We'll second then.
Carter seconds.
Is that your motion, Sarah? Or, because you were,
That wasn't my motion, but it's fine, because it's fine. Yes.
I was just trying to clarify what the motion is, so if you have your own motion, ma'am, you can set it. I just hearing what I was hearing, and I was just trying to propose it back, so you guys are the commission, so we'll wait for your recommendation.
So my motion would be to approve the staff recommendations as well as one additional requirement condition that would have staff look into the pro rata share. But if other board members want to add additional, that's just my motion.
Additional signage can't be part of that motion, so she's not agreeing to it. She's not agreeing to the additional signage, so either we approve the motion
If
the
I
way
can,
she
Mr.
says
Chair.
it, or we deny it.
No, I can, if I can, Mr. Chair, I think what Ms. Battle is saying, that is her motion. She's amenable to anyone who wants to add something additional to her,
motion.
recommendation, and then that could be,
Okay,
if she
we can
agrees
add
to
in,
it, it's acceptable, then that will be the whole motion, then it can be seconded.
You agreeing to that?
Ms. Battle?
yeah, so there's there a second to Sarah's motion with the addition of some traffic signage?
Yes, I'll second that one.
And Ms. Battles agrees to that addition to her motion.
Agree.
Okay, we got it. Ms. Williams, you got that?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, but the first time, Mr. Carter seconded it, and then you seconded it. So do you want to go back to Mr. Carter seconding?
That's fine.
Okay, all right. Okay, so here we are with the motion, with the 3 staff conditions, the pro rata looking into, and then the additional signage.
Correct.
Okay, Ms. Kitchen,
Yes.
Okay, motion.
Ms. Battles,
Yes.
okay, Mr. Lucier,
Yes.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Alvarez,
Yes.
Ms. Jordan,
Yes.
and Mr. Carter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Motion passed. Okay, moving right along. Okay, unfinished business? Seeing none, new business. Okay, Ms. Williams,
Mr. Chairman.
is this your time now? Okay.
Well, the city attorney's going to speak for me tonight.
I'm sorry?
So the city attorney's going to speak for me
Okay,
tonight.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Mr. Chair. I agreed to do it because obviously the city clerk can't transcribe and talk at the same time, so I agreed to go ahead and handle this part of the presentation. What you have before you, I believe all of you should have already Resolution 2215 and a copy of these slides, which are up above. Let me see if I can move this thing. Yes, good. So what we're going to be talking about really quickly is Resolution 2215, the fact that it was already adopted by City Council. What we're trying to do, what the direction Council provided us, is for the clerk and or myself or both to start attending some of these board meetings, to start providing this specific training so they can know some of the changes. When you look at specifically in that resolution on page 2, what we did is that we decided to divide up all of our boards into categories, and specifically what those categories do, specifically the agendas would be changed accordingly or amended. So planning and zoning will apply on page 2, section 4A. You guys are considered to be a category 1 in the description provided in the resolution. So what the goal, I believe, Council is trying to streamline all the boards so things, we don't get into extraneous information. We only address specific issues, like in this case, only specific issues dealing with planning and zoning. If it's budget, we'll stick to budget, but in budget, you know, they have other exceptions that will be permissible. So what the slides would show, and the second one here, is again, I already mentioned this is exactly where it's located. And as I mentioned, we're trying to streamline the process. You guys have specific tasks that deal specifically with planning and zoning matters. You have to review issues and ultimately take actions and recommend things to the board. What the clerk decided to do in this next slide is to break it up into specifically category 1s and where the change occurred. So what the consensus of council, actually I'll probably say unanimous of council when we were meeting with them, was category 1, specifically dealing with planning and zoning, which is one of the boards in category 1. They would no longer have general public input. And what I mean by that, no issues dealing with outside matters specifically. Also, what's going to be excluded is commission matters, and also is going to be excluded next agenda. So those are the 2 items that you see before you up on the board now. If there is an issue for the public to raise issues of concerns, they can come to staff. They want to raise issues, but I don't see how, you know, other than a specific item, like today, for example, you had a hearing, then obviously by law, public has to have input before you guys make your final recommendation. So that's a part. What we're talking about is what happens usually at the beginning of councils is public is allowed to come in here to talk about something that's not on the agenda. So that will no longer apply to category 1, specifically dealing with planning and zoning. That has been removed along with commission matters. The next thing that we have up here, this one specifically, I don't know if you guys received a copy of it, but this specifically refers to one of the ordinance. which did go through 2 readings. It's ordinance number 2210, dealing with changes that we made pertaining to all boards. So now what we've done, some of the concerns that we've heard from council was we need a definition for resident, which we really didn't have a definition for resident. So we established a new definition for residents. Also, this new ordinance now requires all board members to be residents for at least 1 year prior to application. And the third arrow you see there, now it's going to require alternates to attend all meetings to help keep the momentum on board projects to ensure quorum. So in other words, from this point forward, for Category 1's alternates will have to be present during our meetings, and just in case something happens that no one, we have someone that can't show up, they can step in immediately and take part of the board. Things that haven't changed, obviously, Robert's rules still apply generally, and of course, the gavel is controlled by the chair. We're going to try to train up some more, especially specifically dealing with chairmen, so they understand that everything goes through the chair. Even committee members, when they have questions, goes through you. When someone from the public, like today, had a question for staff, still goes to the chair, and the chair then address staff to answer the question if that's what the chair wants to do. So those things do not change. Pretty much that's it. It's not a major changes that other than what I just described. The clerk wants to thank, because this is her puppy. She enjoys working with all you guys, so she enjoys and she appreciates each and every one of your participation in our boards. And I know that's what that first bullet indicates, and I'm sure she would be saying that. She can chime in if she wants to, but I'm sure she appreciates every single one commitments to the boards, and we do appreciate. I know this is voluntarily, and it takes a lot of your time to be here, but we do appreciate it. So barring that, I don't have anything else unless you have something for me or for the clerk. That's pretty much what the presentation was, and that new agenda is what you have here before today. So, for example, the budget meeting, I think it's next week. I believe it's next week. I've already met with Mr. Kilgore to amend or adopt the new agenda for the budget, and of course, either Jeanette, myself, or both will be there, giving the similar training to them as well. And I think they fall under Category 2, a little bit different, but still, they'll receive similar training. So, barring that, I have nothing else for the board.
Okay.
Or barring any questions, better.
Thank you, Mr. Arnall. Any questions, board? No questions? Okay, thank you very much for that. And next thing here we have is Dory, August Planning and Zoning Commission meetings. You had any comments
Yes.
on that?
So our scheduled meetings for August would be the first and third Thursday, August 4th and August 18th. August 18th, the council will be used for early voting, so we would not have that meeting. We were hoping to, what we'd like to after our last meeting, July 7th, was to bring back to you as the public hearing for your recommendation to City Council was the RM10. However, we were not able to, based on the advertising requirements, we wouldn't be able to make it to that August 4th. And so without having that meeting, we would pretty much not have any meetings for August. So we were wondering if we were okay to schedule that second Thursday, be August 11th. And what we would have on that agenda would be the RM10 public hearing that for the LPA. We have an accessory structure and also your review of the capital improvement budget that you also make a recommendation to City Council. So we just wanted to verify with everybody that that was okay to move that. I know it's that time of year for vacations. I'm fairly certain we would still have the quorum, but we wanted to make sure it was okay with you guys to reschedule that August 4th.
August 18th to August 11th.
It'd be August 4th is the one that we were technically moving to the 11th.
Oh, so we're not having August 4th?
Correct. We would not have a meeting on August 4th. It would be August 11th.
11th.
It's a Thursday. And then the 18th is canceled based for early voting.
So it's canceled 18 too?
Yes.
So it's just one in August?
Just be one, yes.
Okay, got it.
And then
I'm
I
okay
think
with that.
our first meeting in September is September 1st, so it's a few weeks later.
No, okay,
Yeah, so
all
it'd
right. I
be
just want to clarify, so it would be just August 11th?
Yes.
Okay.
And we just wanted the commission's blessing to reschedule that date.
Commissioners, do we have any objection on that?
I don't.
No, I guess we're good.
Okay.
August 11th it is.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Okay, seeing that we don't have any more, commission matters, I guess meeting is adjourned.